You're never going to get super rich or even really wealthy by having a job. And that's something that I learned, fairly recently, maybe a few years ago. I learned that pretty quick. And I just understood that, like, hey, man, I'm not going to be able to make the kind of money that I want and accelerate financially at the pace that I'd like if I just have a job. And that's my only source of income. And I want to be clear, like, as I'm making this video, like, I'm a huge proponent of having a job. I think that, having a job during the day and working on your business or your YouTube channel or whatever your hustle is at night, I think that's absolutely what most people should do. I'm not this person who's going to, tell you just to quit your job out of the blue and just go all in on your dream. I think that's irresponsible. And I think that's what a lot of people put out online. So, I mean, I just want to be clear, like, I'm not, pooping on jobs here. I just think that, if you have big goals and you want to be super successful in life and make a ton of money, and I'm talking, $300,000 plus, it's going to be difficult for you to do that having a job. I'm not saying it's impossible. You can do that. There's sales jobs. There's, executive roles after a long time of you doing what you're doing. And like, there's avenues to get to that point. But, I want to make, a lot more money than that. And it's not going to be easy for me to do that by just clocking in and clocking out. Having a job is great for, consistent income, but it's not good for building serious wealth very quickly. Unless you're somebody like Steve Ballmer, who had massive, equity stake in, Microsoft when that first got started. I don't even think he had maybe he had a giant stake. I'm not sure exactly how much he had, but he's a billionaire now. He's massively successful, and it wasn't his company. He was an employee, right? So there is evidence of people getting super wealthy by being an employee, but those cases are a lot more rare, right? The regular guy like me and you is probably not going to get super wealthy, by, having Microsoft stock before it blows up, or being, employee number 2 at Facebook, or all this different kind of stuff. You guys get what I'm saying, right? We have to use our job as a tool for us to be able to fund our dream, right? That's what we have to look at our job as. Our job is not this end all be all that we're going to, have for the rest of our lives. And, this is always going to be there. This is a tool. You're using this as a springboard for you to be able to launch a business or launch a YouTube channel or whatever it might be, right? That's what the purpose of a job is. And I want to also be clear, like, if you're one of these people watching this video who's like, I have my job and I'm happy, and, I spend time with my family and I'm happy, I'm not speaking to you. There's nothing wrong with that. Respect. And I think, as long as you're happy, you're happy. And I have nothing else to add to that. Glad you're happy. But most people that I know, and definitely for myself, like, I want to make more money. I want to build financial security. I want to invest in assets and, be able to not have to stress about money. And that's something that, is super important to me. And understanding this simple fact that you're not going to get super rich by having a job, that's essential, because as long as you have a job, you're not going to be able to allocate all of your time into some kind of business. And that's really what you need to do at some point. At some point or another, you need to be able to allocate a lot of time into your business or your project or your YouTube channel, whatever it might be. There comes a point to where you need to make this leap of faith to where you're going to go all in on whatever it is. And, it's tough for you to do that if you just have a job. So I just want to kind of explain that. I mean, again, it's something that is simple. A lot of you guys might be listening to this, but maybe rolling your eyes, be like, yeah, I already knew that, dude. Fair enough, but it's something that is worth reminding people. You're not going to get rich with a job. You have to build skills, use your job to be able to make money while you learn, and while you're doing that, launch some kind of side project or a business or whatever it might be. That's how you really get the most out of a job. I'm not sure if you guys have ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's one of my favorite books of all time. I actually have that linked in the description of this video, in case you guys want to get it on Amazon. But yeah, that's an amazing book. And I believe it's chapter 2 or 3. And it's one of the chapter names is, rich people don't work a job for money. They work a job for skills. That's the essence of that chapter. And it's true. If you're going to work a job, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But use that and understand what that's for. That job is for, startup capital for your business. That's what that's for. It's for skills for you to be able to make that business successful. It's for, being able to pay your bills and being able to have some, cash flow coming in while you're building your business, your YouTube channel, whatever it is. That's what that's for. It's not just for you to, I have my job and I'm just going to sit here and watch Netflix the rest of the day once I get off work. That's not the right attitude to have, in my opinion. At least not if you want to be, very successful and make a lot of money. So anyway, guys, keep this in mind. This is something that's, definitely worth repeating. You're never going to get super rich with a job unless you're, kind of an anomaly. So understand that. Use your job as a springboard for you to be able to build your project. And then that's how you're going to make big money, is by building a business or having, some kind of channel, or, being able to get involved in a project where you have equity in that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I hope this helps you guys out. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.